So we have Bitcoin putting in what could be a low time frame reaccumulation pattern with a very, very small hourly time frame ascending triangle. This typically has a measured move which will break you towards the upside and could possibly take price all the way to the $100,000 mark. So right now it's probably the time to be positioned in the market. I'm going to give you 3 altcoins in today's show, which I'm currently buying and gaining exposure to before this next move that goes towards the upside. We also have to outline some real things within the market and where you might need to start to get cautious. So stay tuned until the very end. Smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel. We have a lot of very important things to discuss. We're going to start off laying the foundation, looking at Bitcoin, where we're at within this current cycle, some of the warning signs that you do need to focus on. Now, don't be too alarmed. It doesn't mean that we're going to top just yet, but I want to preempt things and prep you, of course, ahead of time so that you don't get caught with your pants down, right? So let's get going. Let's get going. Smash the like button and we'll get straight into the show content. We are seeing big gains over here still on the daily time frame for the top 100 coins. Weekly also up massively. Look at this. Mantra 161%, Peanut 231. Some huge moves. And I know that FOMO is absolutely loading up within the market right now. Many people having missed out on a lot of the biggest gains. But the good news is that there is still opportunity. Again, I'll share 3 of the coins that I'm looking at right now and I'm busy building positions on before this next major move that takes place. But once that next major move does occur, I do think that it may be time to start to side on caution. And I'm going to show you why in today's show as well. So again, stay until the very end. Well, we're seeing the signs and the symptoms, right? This is typically signs and symptoms of market cycle tops. Now, I'm not calling a cycle top yet. It's simply just the ingredients to basically give you the recipe for a major rally within the bull market. And then following those symptoms, this is some of the symptoms, following those symptoms comes the sickness, right? Which is going to be, of course, the collapse of the markets. We're not there yet, but it's always good to pay attention to the symptoms which are developing. And it's Donald Trump's social media company in advanced talks to buy Bitget, right? A cryptocurrency trading venue owned by Intercontinental Exchange. So really starting to dabble and double down into the crypto markets over here. Not only that, but we have from the Wall Street Journal, Donald Trump will be meeting privately with Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong to discuss cabinet appointments. So trying to build a team over there of a very, very pro-crypto friendly government, right? With a different cabinet and replacing key figures. So again, some of these signs and symptoms. Not only that, we have MicroStrategy acquiring yet another $4.6 billion worth of Bitcoin at $88,627 per Bitcoin. I cannot believe it. Buying up nice and high, right? Buy low, sell high, right? But they buy low, buy a medium, and buy very, very high as well. They just keep buying. So, but the most important thing over here is if you pay attention to some of these signs and symptoms, Patrick Bet-David, of course, bringing Michael Saylor on with regards to this buy. This is going to gain more media attention, which increases the FOMO and brings new people into the market. I see in the comments over there, big volume, right? That's another thing to look at. Big volume within the markets. Markets tend to put in these local tops on big volume. I don't think it's over yet. I'm going to show you why. I'll show you how long you have left. I'm still going to give you 3 altcoin buys that I think are great opportunities. Again, I just want to preempt your mindset and your psychology so you can start to prepare for when the top does actually come, right? You have Michael Saylor releasing his video over here. Basically, you can see Bitcoin, the red wave, and the crypto renaissance. This is his pitch that he typically gives over and over again. And if you look at CZ, former CEO of course, Binance over here, saying, there'll be a race for nations to print money to buy Bitcoin, i.e. the Bitcoin strategic reserve, and no one can afford to be lost. This is the type of FOMO that comes into the market that creates these blow-off top scenarios, these massive pumps, and ultimately when nobody thinks prices can go down, that's probably when you should start to side on the air of caution and be careful within the markets because that is where the tops are formed, right? We have also Mara Holdings over here announcing that it's proposing a private offering of 700 million in convertible senior notes. This is essentially from Michael Saylor's playbook that he's giving to all the institutions, all the businesses around the world, which are constantly trying to raise capital to put into crypto, right? It's all good. It's all good and well. We're following that 18.6 year real estate cycle, of which we have about another year to two left of that, maybe even a little bit more. And alternatively, that's kind of setting the roadmap for where we think prices will go. But nevertheless, signs and symptoms of a cycle top, right? These are some of the things you need to pay attention to, because if you do look at that Mara Holdings, which is Marathon Digital, you can see that the last time that they tried to raise money to buy more Bitcoin with was the exact cycle top, right? That was the exact cycle top. Now, I'm not advocating that that's going to happen this time, but I do think that we need to pay attention to when things start to get overheated. Right now, I've been crystal clear that I think that we about 60% of the way into the cycle, maybe even 70%, and we're following this trajectory literally perfectly. We literally caught right in between where we were last time in 2017 cycle versus the 2020 cycle in terms of return on investment from the cycle lows, and in terms of trajectory, we are perfectly intact. But if you do start to see a markup phase, just like we saw in the price cycles in 2021 and 2017, that's where you're going to have to start to be careful following these kind of headlines, right? When you start to see things like this, this is where you need to play, I guess the wording would be a little bit more of a defensive game, right? Be careful as opposed to just aping into everything that you see. Be a little bit more, well thought out when it comes to your plannings, right? You have Tim over here as well coming up with, all dreams of crypto people are coming true very fast. Again, usually I start to look to take the counter trade when this is the rational, and I'm not doing that yet. But when you start to see things like this, an additional warning sign, what could go wrong, right? Number one, pro-crypto president. Number two, pro-crypto administration. Number three, a president that wants to buy a crypto platform. Point number four, president meets crypto CEOs. Point number five, Saylor going insane with buying. Point number six, Wall Street keeps buying. Point number seven, soon countries will start buying. What could possibly go wrong, right? $10 million Bitcoin, here we go. So these are the things you need to be careful of. At the end of the day, you can look at the sentiment indicators, fear and greed being at 90, and this is probably going to give you a better indication of what I think comes next. I just think that this is simply the symptoms of what comes next. We're first going to lead into a major upside move, because we can actually see visually on the chart what happened the last time when we're sitting in this 90 region on the fear and greed. And we can look back to the 2021 cycle. And what's so interesting about this is if we look at these dots over here, you can see that we put in this first read of 90 or above on the fear and greed, which signifies, of course, very extreme greed within the market. We did that on the 6th of November, right? If we go back to this over here, well, where are we now? Around the similar time frame, right? 17, 18, 19th of November, started to put in those very extreme greed levels. And if you look at this chart over here, we're following exactly according to the price cycle. So maybe, just maybe, this is what you can expect comes next. Remember, we can look at the timing factors as well over here and how long you can stay within that greed zone. And this typically leads to those parabolic advancements. So as I mentioned, there's an ascending triangle on the 1 hour time frame, which likely sends Bitcoin into the $100,000 category. You're welcome to vote. There's actually a poll that's running on the stream right now. Do you think that we see $100,000 Bitcoin this week? Yes or no? Vote. Simple question. I think inevitably we see it, whether it's this week or not. I remain, a little bit uncertain on that. But right now, the volatility is still strong towards the upside. The trend is strong towards the upside. Ascending triangle in the hourly time frame. It looks set to break out. That's going to take us, I think, into at least the $95,000, $96,000 region, and then we're in spitting distance, right, about 5% away from the $100,000 mark. So maybe, just maybe, we see a couple of weeks of continued momentum like this. Now, in terms of the timing, so similar, right? Early November, around that mid-November point, we started to put in the extreme greed, and that was in the 2020 cycle leading into the 2021 peak. And you can see it pushed up all the way into January 2021. We had a slight dip, and then you finish off with February 2021, which ultimately was the cycle top. Now, we know that Bitcoin has strong Q4s, and altcoins have strong Q1. months. So between January and March of next year. And maybe we're following a very similar trajectory, right? So I think it's something to keep eyes on. We're also seeing the volume over here, the 7-day exchange volume, massively increasing. We hit that $125 billion mark, finding a bit of resistance over there. Watch for the pullback. You might get a pullback, into this prior level at about 100 billion, and then retail are going to start to reload, right? In alignment with these signs and symptoms, people like Patrick Bet-David, massive audiences, wide array of different people interested in financial markets. This could bring a lot of eyes and attention into the markets. And I have no doubt that when we do hit that $100,000 mark, you're probably going to see this acceleration like we saw previously of the fear and greed, as well as with the price as late retail come into the market. So a lot to look at over there. We're going to continue to gauge this. Stay tuned, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you each and every single day. By the way, that reminds me one thing. If you go through to the link in the description below, there will actually be a YouTube link over here that says Crypto Live is here, right? Crypto Live is here. I'm going to be streaming at least half of the week in the future from this channel. We're trying to build the channels out. Please go and subscribe. If you want to see my shows, go through over here, click subscribe to Crypto Live, click that link. It will immediately take you there. Let's see if we can push this to over at least, I'm sure at least 5,000 of you should subscribe. I'm actually curious to see how many of the loyal followers that we have will move over onto that side, right, where we'll be streaming. So we'll monitor this each and every day. If we look over here, we've seen the 24-hour liquidations, 316 million, of which the majority in this instance was coming from the longs. But now we have the market flipping short. We spoke about that yesterday where we saw the liquidation levels overhead. These liquidation levels are still here. This is the form of stop losses in the yellow band from short traders, which means if price moves into that zone, the short traders get stopped out. And by definition, closing out a short position essentially means you have to take the other side of the trade when you close it, which means you market buying back into the market. And that typically leads to that cascade towards the upside, driving price onwards and upwards. And that level is coming in. If Bitcoin just touches $93,000, which is where that ascending triangle should take us. And we could see the break of that ascending triangle very, very soon. We'll get to the low time frames just now. Then we should see that liquidation cascade sending price very quickly higher up over there. So keeping an eye out on that. If we go into the Whale Room Discord, that's the private Discord, we can have a look over here at the cumulative volume deltas, right? All of the various different liquidation levels as well. And when you look at these deltas, you can see, interesting enough, this is today in agreement with what we're seeing on those other charts where you have the red, right? What does red mean? It means that the majority of the market are trying to run shorts. Look at that on WIF, right? Heavy shorting on WIF over here. And that typically engineers liquidity back towards the upside, because the way market makers work is market makers will always target other traders' stop losses. Wherever the majority of the market's liquidation level or stop losses are, is where the market makers send price to fulfill orders, right? So you can expect that there should be a little bit of a short squeeze in the coming days, right? We can also have a look over here to see a bit more of a high time frame perspective. And in terms of the funding rate, this is how much money people are paying to on open interest or interest to keep a position open. Remember, that's like borrowing money from the exchanges. It's still very, very low. We expect that in that time period where we go into the extreme greeds, the 90 to 100 mark on the fear and greed index, signifying extreme greed and extreme FOMO within the market, we will also see an increase like we saw in 2021 over here. And in actual fact, we should go beyond that level when it comes to the aggregate funding rate, meaning everybody is borrowing money. Everyone's borrowing money. Michael Saylor's playbook, retail don't borrow money in the form of, from government bonds and things like that. Retail borrow money from the exchanges. It's quick, it's easy. It's called the leverage slider, right? Remember the leverage slider that starts over here and runs to 100, and you'll tend to see them start to slide this further and further towards the right side as the market becomes more and more greedy. And that's what tends to drive those absolute massive parabolic advancements. So we'll keep all eyes open on this. I think we're right before leading into the next expansive phase over there, which means, you're not too late yet. I'm going to give you 3 coins, which you can look at today. You can also see you're not too late yet because we've been focusing on the funding rate heat map, and we expect prolonged periods of orange and yellow. For now, it's only just started to transition. So if the at least thesis is correct that we're going to get a markup phase, as we saw in the prior cycles over here, as well as the fear and greed going into this 90 to 100 zone, leading to that parabolic advancement, well, then at the same time, we should see the funding rate heat map stay orange and yellow for prolonged periods of time, signifying we're moving into that parabolic advancement, right? So we're focusing on all the details over here. We're supported by the Bollinger Band with percentile increasing towards the upside. It shows that there is momentum within the market. Don't fade that momentum. We're also seeing USDT minting from Tether, right? Tether minting more USDT, $1 billion worth, right? 1 billion USDT minted. This is our own little form of quantitative easing, right? Think of Tether as the Fed. The Fed print money. That money tends to flow into crypto, and we can actually track it over here. One of the reasons that crypto has been going up, while you still have the major central bank assets decreasing their balance sheets over here, going down in the form of quantitative tightening. So one of the reasons we're still going up is because of that USDT printing, right? So this is how you get those major runs. As per everything else that I've shown you in terms of the sentiment indicators, when we see things like this, that could bring retail in. Plus you have the USDT printer running in full force. And on top of that, we're still waiting for the transition of the Federal Reserve's total assets, where it's been declining. We expect them to pivot into quantitative easing, and that should be announced over here. This creates the recipe. These are all the various different ingredients for the recipe to create that next major move. Now, I'm simply outlining you want to pay attention to the signs and symptoms of a top as we approach those local highs. So we're expecting at the next major FOMC meeting, which is about 29 days from now, that there's a good chance that the FOMC in their meeting or report will announce that they're buying back assets, right? And then if they do buy back assets, we should see this start to transition towards the upside. And historically, this is where the stock market has experienced some of its biggest moves. You can see the red line moving towards the upside. The blue line is the stock market from the COVID lows that were over here, and they went into extreme quantitative easing, printing a whole lot of money. Everything rallied aggressively towards the upside, and maybe, just maybe, we're starting to witness the transition into that. Now, in terms of the USDT printing as well, and I've showcased to you over here, if you look at this chart over here, how that's been inclining. If we start to see this continue to increase while we move into quantitative easing, while simultaneously we break down the USDT dominance, that's going to be absolute super rocket fuel to get the crypto market rallying very hard. That's where we see the parabolic advancements, and we expect something like this to occur once again, right? So all eyes on this, all eyes on the various ingredients and the recipe as things start to come to fruition. We need to watch very carefully, because we could be right on the cusp of an absolutely major move, because the more and more money that they print in the form of USDT, the harder it is to break down this USDT dominance, right? So it means when that USDT dominance eventually breaks down, all that money that Tether have created essentially is going to flow into the altcoin sector, and that's where we see those huge pumps, right? So prepare your accounts, get ready. If you do want to trade this alongside me and you want to make some major profits, there is an opportunity with one of our partners, CoinW, right? They're currently running a trading competition. You have 11 days, 8 hours left to finish this competition. The prize pool is currently just shy of $1 million, right? As it currently stands, it's $800,000. The more people that join into the competition, the bigger the prize pool becomes. But right now, it's valued at $800,000. The winner of this, you can see here some of the competitors. The winner of this will be receiving part of their prize pool of $800,000. There's a link below if you want to join into that CoinW prize pool. Click on that over there. That's the Winners Legends Cup for 2024, right? The battle for $1 million is there. let's continue on with Bitcoin, which looks super powerful. We spoke about this months in advance, looking at the break and flip of the $69,000 region. Now, I expect that this is going to be incredible support, and it's just a question of when we eventually come back to test that, right? So I think we spent a lot of time over there back testing multiple times. We have support of the moving averages, which will be additional support. The reason I'm outlining it is because in a worst case scenario, if price were to drop aggressively for some, maybe there's, I know there's tensions as well in geopolitical environments. Maybe there's something around that, and there's some sort of tension that leads to a drop. This is going to be your major buy zone, right? So if it comes back over here, expect that the first test of that is going to elicit a major move. So as the leverage increases, as the greed increases, you oftentimes get these flushes towards the downside. Right now, there's no signs that that should happen, but eventually things will get so overheated. Maybe we push towards that 100K level, and then we lead into a pullback, right? This is going to be a key level. Mark it off on your charts. The $69,000 to $70,000 level is very important to focus on. Right now, there's no signs, right? Everything is super bullish. You have at least support from all the moving averages, the 3, the 9, and the 30 over here. And the 3 is catching up to the bottom of that price chart. As price holds up over here, this will quickly pull it up, and you should experience multiple back tests in these parabolic moves into the 3 moving average. And I trade this on the 5-day time frame for some of my swing trading, right? So you can see over here as price reaccumulates, it's really grinding into this ascending triangle, right? You can see the ascending triangle over there. Even on the daily time frame, that grind into there gives you a measured move. You have your pull over here. The grinding into that should easily push price up into the $100,000 territory. And right now, the ball is 100% in the bull's court with all the momentum on their side, all the moving averages and EMAs underneath acting as support. And we have bulls defending that all-important $85,000 level, which I said was super key, right? There it is, the yellow line over here. That's your $85,000 level. Now, if you do reject from the top side of the trading range, there will still be another opportunity, possibly one more time, to pick up some Bitcoin around that 85K level. But as it currently stands, it looks like this is really grinding through and going to start to push above the yellow line that I currently have here. I'll make it nice and big. The 4.1 over here, let's make it bright yellow. This refers to your RSI pivot level, right? So as long as Bitcoin remains, which it currently is, above $91,488, it simply means your RSI will continue to trend towards the upside. And what does the RSI stand for? The relative strength index. So long as price remains above that yellow line, your relative strength is in the bull's court, right? The bulls hold control. All the cards are in their hand, and it's their move next, right? It's their opportunity to break price through this level. So right now, if you are in long positions, continue to hold them. If you're in leverage positions, you can always minimize your risk by raising your stop losses in case there is a leverage flush. Right now, everything is looking super good, except for ETH-BTC. If you're an ETH-BTC maxi or an Ethereum maxi, you've been heavily punished. You're going in for new lows. Once again, we're still watching this level. We said we're not going to call any level in terms of the ETH-BTC ratio and where that could bottom, but instead we heavily focus on the timing factor, looking for a bottom somewhere within this yellow box, which would lead into the end of the year, right? By January next year, the belief is that even if it does go lower, that we're going to have seen, maybe it goes down to that level, just as an example. Maybe it only goes down a little bit more like that. But by January, we expect that we should have seen the bottom in ETH-BTC, which means that positioning into altcoins right now is probably going to be the smartest play that you can go for, as opposed to trying to buy Bitcoin, which may have limited upside potential, right? Despite the likes of the institutions and various different businesses using the Michael Saylor playbook and trying to come into the market as well. Go and watch this video if you do want to. It was posted by Michael Saylor on the 16th. This is essentially his thinking for the high time frame and what he wants to do. So we're looking to position into altcoins in anticipation of the breakdown of the Bitcoin dominance. Now let's tie things back in with the beginning of the show, where we spoke about the various different risk factors and the warning signals coming from sentiment indicators, like all these various different tweets, like the fear and greed also picking up into the extreme greed zone. Let's tie that all together and say, where do we become incredibly cautious within the market? And one of the reasons that I'm not too fearful yet, Because remember, you should be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. And I try to do the opposite of the masses. Since the masses are very greedy right now, I typically start to get a little bit fearful. But the key word is you want to counter trade the masses at the extremes, right? At the extremes of the move, not in the middle of the move, because in the middle of the move, it's a powerful trend in motion, and you want to trade alongside the masses when it is a trend in motion, which it is right now. So at what point do all of these things that I'm seeing as signs and symptoms of a cycle top really scare me? And where do I become incredibly fearful while everyone else is greedy? Well, the answer is if Bitcoin dominance had broken down and Bitcoin dominance was testing a key level like the mid-range over here, or the range low, that's the point where I get incredibly fearful. And the reason being is because every time we see a market cycle top on Bitcoin, where BTC USD price tops out, that typically tends to occur when the Bitcoin dominance is bottoming. The Bitcoin dominance is not bottoming now. The Bitcoin dominance is topping. We've spoken about this for many, many months. And consequently, I'm still okay to position into altcoins. Alternatively, if you look at the inverse of that, you're going to have the ETH BTC chart, which is pretty much an exact inverse trade of what we've seen on the Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance is in a rising wedge, potentially topping. We're looking at ETH BTC in a falling wedge, potentially bottoming. So where do I get incredibly fearful? Well, when everybody is very, very greedy on Ethereum and the altcoin sector, which right now we still see a lot of fear in the market. And this is why I say, despite these factors, this is simply just the recipe, right? This is the ingredients for the recipe to create that next parabolic advancement like we saw in 2021. It's not necessarily the cycle top, but if those factors play out, Bitcoin dominance drops, ETH BTC pumps, well, in that environment, I'm going to warn you guys, so stay tuned. Make sure that you follow me as well on social media if you do want to get the news first, right? Because sometimes I might not be on a YouTube show. If you do scroll through to the bottom over here, you can follow me on my own channels. That's going to be on X as well as on Instagram. I could go live at any point in time on any one of those when the market does actually top, right? So all in all, everything is looking good. Otherwise, if the basis is that this should break down and lead into an altcoin season with USDT also breaking down, then we have to ask ourselves, is it altcoin season? And by the definition, altcoin season typically occurs, if you look over here, if the 75% of the top 50 coins on CoinMarketCap are performing better than Bitcoin, specifically over 90 days, that's where it's considered to be altcoin season. As it currently stands, you can see the black marking over here refers to Bitcoin, which means only these coins have been outperforming Bitcoin. Whereas if you look to the right-hand side, we have the likes of 𝗕𝗥𝗅𝗓𝗏, Litecoin, Near, FET, Ethereum Classic, we have VET, Leo, Link. All these various different coins are not yet outperforming Bitcoin, right? So you need to see these all outperforming Bitcoin as well. And then it's altcoin season. But we don't want you to be late, right? This is why I'm going to give you 3 altcoins today that you can position yourself into before it's considered altcoin season. The reality is, by the time you're buying altcoins in the altcoin season playbook, when it's by definition, majority of those coins are outperforming Bitcoin for 90 days, chances are you've missed the majority of the move and you're buying into extreme hype and you're in a very dangerous situation. But as you can see, if you were to treat this simply as an oscillator, meaning an oscillator is like the stochastic RSI, right? When it gets to the bottom over here and it starts to curl and turn up, then you're looking for your buys, right? When it gets to the top over here and it starts to curl back down, you're looking to exit. Then it would mean that you're looking at the lows over here to transition from Bitcoin into altcoins or from fresh USDT into the altcoin sector in anticipation for that next move up, right? When you start to move into the top zone over here, that's actually where you're looking to take profit. And most people are trading this chart the complete wrong way around, right? So what are the coins, guys? Smash the like button, smash the like button. We really appreciate it if you smash the like button over here. It works with an algorithm, right? The more you guys smash the like button, the more excited I get, the more alpha I can bring you, and the harder I work for you guys during the day to prep amazing shows. So if you want those 3 altcoins, smash the like button, guys, and let's get into it. Okay, so coin number 1 that I'm looking at, Okay, not yet. Let's get the likes up. We'll go to coin number 1 in a bit. I have 3 of them for you, which I'm currently scaling into. Let's just quickly have a look at the total cryptocurrency market cap. The other thing that I would outline over here is in terms of all the signs and the symptoms, the reason I'm not too fearful yet is because the total cryptocurrency market cap is only just breaking out of the massive cup and handle, right? There's your cup and there's your handle, and the measured move of that breakout should take you at the very least to your 2.618 fib extension, which would have the total cryptocurrency market cap trading up to $4.388 trillion, right? If we were trading somewhere around there near the top of the measured move, while seeing all of these various different factors, while ETH BTC is breaking out to new highs, while Bitcoin dominance is finding major support, then we're careful. That's not the case yet, right? We've navigated this market to perfection. Let's hope and pray we can continue to do that until the very, very end of the cycle, right? So we're looking still for massive moves on total 2. We're also looking for big moves on total 3, which in actual fact is only just starting to break out, right? Bitcoin has already cleared not only these strong areas of resistance, but also the all-time high, where you can see total 3 has not even yet got to those all-time highs. So the expectation was or is that we're not going to see the market cycle top until such time as total 3 is already trading in new all-time highs. That's where we side on caution, right? That's where we get really, really careful. For now, still looking okay. The consolidation and grind just below this, $1 trillion mark is going to be incredibly bullish for total 3. Total 3 refers to your true altcoin market, and that's where you're looking for continuation after that. All right, so we always have to look to these strong coins. Remember, this is just an example of one of the strongest ecosystems, which we covered in yesterday's show that we did. This is SOL versus BTC. Reaccumulation phase, creating an ascending triangle with higher lows but equal highs. Remember, ascending triangles are one of the few bullish chart patterns that actually play out, and you can actually work out a very, very solid measured move over there, which means if you're looking to enter the market right now for the first time ever, and you're faced with a choice, should you buy Bitcoin or should you buy Solana? The answer, according to this chart, would be Solana is the better bet, right? Because Solana, when it does break up, is going to go up about 53% more than what Bitcoin is over that time period, right? That's according to this chart pattern over here. So we want to adequately position in strong coins. Now, we've been taking trades on strong coins throughout. We do short-term trades, medium time frame trades, scalp trades, and then long-term investment plans for all of the followers and users of the Whale Room, right? So you can see over here, Chris absolutely crushing it. Christo Columbus, one of our coaches in Whale Room. We have 3 other coaches that are there, 3 coaches with Chris and myself included. And you can see over here, Casper 135%, Grok 1,097% trade over there. XRP, for all of you XRP lovers out there, we do trade this thing both up and down, 585% trade, and then Render 475% trade. Now, Render is one of the trades that I'm busy loading up positions on, right? So stay tuned until the very end. I'm going to show you the levels and why. Should you want to take advantage of all this information, as well as my section over here, which is Captain's Take. There's your ascending triangle, which I shared with the Whale Room earlier on this morning. We have support by the 50 EMA as well as the 200 EMA reaccumulation pattern, looking for a breakout that if this breaks out sometime today, this could accelerate very quickly, taking price into the $100,000 price territory. If you do want this information, everything is in the link in the description below. It will take you through to the Black Friday page, and you can see we share all this institutional data as well. Everything is in the group over there. Take advantage while Black Friday is still on. You have a couple days left to join, right? You're getting 42% savings if you do decide to join. And this is also where we, of course, drop the highest alpha. So go through in the link in the description below, and then you're going to look over here, of course, for Whale Room. There it is. There's Whale Room Black Friday special available. So what are the coins? What are the coins that we're looking at? I'm going to go through them. Number 1, Brett, right? Brett on a 2-week scale. And the reason I'm trading this on a high time frame over here is because price is moving very quickly. And the quicker that price moves to eliminate error or margin for error, you ultimately want to zoom out, right? So we execute our trades on the low time frames, but we oftentimes do our analysis on the high time frame to get some broader perspective of where things are most likely going next. And if you look at this over here, we can use the Fibonacci tool from the highest point that we've had within the cycle down to the lowest point within the cycle, and we can actually work out how far this move will actually go on Brett. The fact that it closed a 2-week candle above that key zone around 16 cents, which is where current price is, gives you a confirmation signal that you're likely to lead into continuation. Now, that continuation in a very bullish move should take you to the 3.618 fib extension, which for Brett would be a 253% move. Now, I do believe this will go much, much, much higher than this 55-cent level, which is the current target. This is more for, the next breakout of Bitcoin. Brett is a long-term hold that I'm taking. I'll maybe do a bit of profit taking around that 55, 56 cent level. But at the end of the day, it looks powerful. It looks ready to break out. And I suspect that if Bitcoin does break out of that 1 hour ascending triangle, we should see new money flowing quickly into the market. So Brett, I would still say, is not overvalued. It's still in a decent enough zone to gain some exposure. And the next one we're looking at is Render. You can see Render over here also forming, a little bit of a unconventional cup and handle, but a similar formation with that rounded bottom, puts in a peak, comes down to create the handle, throws back into major key support over there, and now starting to break that down sloping trend line. This one's got a big move ahead of it. And with NVIDIA earnings coming up now, tomorrow, I think within the next 24 hours, you could see AI really catch a bid. And if AI catches a bid, Render is one of the top picks to be looking at, and this is going to be a 449% move to the 3.618 fib extension, which in these extreme environments is oftentimes the main target that you're looking at, right? So Render looking at a big move up over there. And the next one that I'm looking at, we'll go into altcoin requests as well in a bit, guys. So drop your altcoin requests, start dropping them in the chat over there. Hardest will bring a couple of them up and we'll chart them for you, right? So I see one thing over here. I have to pull this up from Rafael, but Brett is 1.58 billion market cap. Well, what you're going to see is you're going to actually see a lot of these large market cap coins that get mass attention, mass media attention. They're going to pump to 25 to even $75 billion market cap. So the fact that it's at $1.58 billion market cap shows that it's less likely to rug right now, meaning, major early buyers sell the position and send it down to zero. It's reached what I call escape velocity, right? The retail adoption is starting to come in. And the reason for my pick specifically on Brett is because Brett is one of the top memes brothers, right? Which is Pepe. I know how ridiculous this sounds, but Brett is Pepe's brother. Secondly, Pepe is on ETH. Brett is built on Base. Base is Brett is the most recognizable mainstream meme that's built on Brett, which means, on Base, which means Coinbase are probably going to list Brett, and we know that they bring mass adoption into the market during those frenzy phases, right? So you'll witness a major inflow of capital. You don't want to overthink it. I know there's bigger opportunities within some of the low caps, of which I actually dropped one of them in the Whale Room Discord yesterday. And I see you guys, you degens, literally pump that thing like 10x overnight. So don't dump. I'm not dumping. This is a long-term play as well, even on that low cap that I dropped in the Whale Room. Nevertheless, that's the trade, right? Third one. What's the next one that we're looking at is Dog with Hat, right? Dog with Hat has the most amount of holders that are holding more than $1,000 worth of Dog with Hat, the meme coin, which shows the conviction in this position long-term, right? These guys are going to be looking for much higher gains, and the 3.618 fib extension on this will take this just under $15. This would be an absolutely enormous move on Brett. You're looking at, on Dog with Hat, you're looking at about a 335% move. So again, Brett is going to be exposure to Base. And if you look at Dog with Hat, this is your leverage bet on Solana, right? So if you're looking for one of the blue chip memes with a leverage bet on Solana, this is one of them. I've given a lot of them, but at the end of the day, this is the trade, right? This is the trade over here. You've broken the downsloping trend line. You've pressed right up into the range highs. Keep an eye out on this. Now, I'm not saying you ape your whole position in one go. You do need to look at the low time frame levels to get a trigger plan. But if Bitcoin breaks out to 100K this week, we should see these fly, right? That's going to bring massive attention into the market. Other ones that have already started to break out and run, which we spoke about well in advance in the Whale Room Discord, is Ponky, right? Ponky with a big move over there, looking as well for an expansive move all the way to the $2 mark. So Ponky looking really, really good on the 2-week scale. You know, that should be about another 160% move. And there's a lot of different coins that we could pick over here, a lot that are doing super well. And most of these are in our portfolio. 𝗕𝗢𝗕𝗓, we already got into this very, very early. We've had enormous moves over here. All in all, this is looking fantastic, right? Very, very, very good. What else have we got? Bonk's already started to break out. I'm showing you the 2-week scale. We can, of course, look at the daily timeframes for better trigger plans, right? Looking at Solana just to gauge the overall health of the market, still holding up over here, reaccumulating, not looking too bad. Let's quickly check out Casper, which has had a big move on the daily. You can see the fact that Casper's pushed all the way back to the top side over here suggests that this is probably going to have been a shakeout. I know a lot of people capitulated at this 10-cent low. You know, at one point, this was about 7% of my portfolio. I think it dropped down on this dip to about 4% of my portfolio and should be back to about 6 or 7% of my portfolio. And I'm still expecting Casper as one of the best layer ones out there to break out and move at least 57% from this point in time. So there is ample opportunity. We had SUI, which put in an absolutely enormous move. We are fast approaching that 3.618 fib extension. The consolidation over here likely leads to continuation higher. So we'll take a few more requests. Get your requests ready. Drop them in the chat over there. I do want to also remind you that there's also an opportunity over here on Bitget. If you want to celebrate their La Liga partnership, right? You can actually get 20 USDT by signing up using the link below. But that's not the important part. I guess what's more important is some of these exchanges are providing an amazing opportunity right now. So if you go through to Bitget, which is over here, you're getting 10% off of your spot and futures trading fees using this particular Banter link that's below, right? That adds up over time, 10%. Remember, you're paying fees every time you enter and exit a trade, both on spot and on leverage. And if you're going to stick with an exchange long term, this is a great opportunity for you. Not only that, but remember, guys, by signing up to any of these links, automatically you have the opportunity to go to the Win a Bitcoin with Banter Bubbles. Somebody is going to win one full Bitcoin, right? You can become a whole coiner. You're going to guess what the price of Bitcoin is by the 1st of January as the clock strikes 12 on Banter Bubbles. But to do that, first you need to sign up using these links below. All right, let's go through to a couple more of the coins. Drop your requests. I'll take as many as I possibly can. Let's scroll through to the bottom over here. Okay, we got Ping, we got Pulse Chain. Let's quickly have a look through the list over here. EOS. I think let's have a look at some of these, the AI sector, just because we know what's coming up with NVIDIA, and that could get the market moving. So let's quickly see how is NIA looking, right? NIA is one of the positions that I'm currently long on, both on spot and leverage. Holding up over here, flipping this key level. This is what I want to see. I really want to see this level over here, which is pretty much where price is currently situated. There it is. Between this 589 and 559, we want to see this flip into support. These were prior SR flip regions, so support resistance flip regions. If it can continue to hold and consolidate over here, if NVIDIA results come out good and Bitcoin breaks out, you should see rapid expansion up towards that $9 mark for NIA. So all in all, that's looking good. Let's go to some of the other AI sector coins. Let's just scroll through over here. Where are they? Here we go. EOS. So let's have a look at EOS. Remember, the Whale Room members got their entries into EOS down here all the way at this arrow, which means if you took that trade with us, you know, you're up 126% already. So I'm looking for consolidation over here. We want to see price hold up within this trading range, which it's a big range. I don't think it comes back down to the range low. This is only if Bitcoin drops, but 66 cents is going to be the range low. I think what's most likely going to happen is very similar to Bitcoin. On the low time frame, you're putting in this grind, right? This grind, which typically leads to explosive moves. Now, this is something that most people can't accept, right? If you focus on an area of support and resistance, most people believe that as soon as you touch that area of resistance, price must reject, right? But it all depends on how you're moving into that area of resistance. If you're moving into an area of resistance like this, and you do this grinding motion, this grind into resistance typically leads to big explosive moves, right? And we're seeing that happening right now on EOS. Let's have a look at 𝗬𝗏. I said yesterday with the Whale Room Live members, we're doing a live Zoom trading session and we're having a look at this key zone. I said that in terms of the AI sector, if I had to gain exposure, I'd be looking for something like this, probably on 𝗬𝗏. Watch for the support to be found on mid-range. You need to use the low time frame tools to find your trigger, your entry into this trade, and then you're looking for expansion all the way up. So that's on 𝗬𝗏. If this confuses you and you do want to learn more, by the way, go through to the link below. You'll see there is Whale School. This is totally free. You don't have to pay a cent. You just need to get in quick enough before all the spots are filled. So if you click the link, it's going to take you to Whale Trading School. It's where I teach all of my knowledge, everything I've known that's taken me from zero to millions of trading. You have 15 days to join. I think spots may already be full because it looks like it. Go through, try. If you get in, but you're going to have to wait for the next call, which is going to be only next year. All right, that is 𝗬𝗏, right? Let's go to FET as well. FET, one of my big AI positions that I've been scaling into as well. You know, in terms of the TA, I don't think you're going to get down, but in terms of the technical analysis, you know, the textbook would suggest that you should sweep these lows, take out this liquidity over here, which would be $1.06, right? Personally, I don't think that happens. I think, yeah, and if AI breaks out, for the confirmation of the breakout, if price moves and holds above $1.50, the break and hold above $1.50 means you're opening up a new trading range where you can start to target all the way up here to about $2.60. And I believe, by the way, in the peak of, we're going to see all of these coins, all my portfolio picks will be trading at all-time highs, moving into that price discovery. And remember, all of these have been dropped over here under Captain's Take. If you go through, we've also added it into one under the Whale Room community. But if you scroll through all the way to the top, you'll find every one of the picks that we've put in terms of my portfolio. I actually think I just sort of, if we go through over here, so here's one of the portfolios, and if we scroll, there's a couple more, right? Here's all the percentage split. My portfolio looked like back then. There may have been changes, but there's all the percentage splits. If you do want access to my personalized portfolio, is in the Whale Room Discord. So that's it from me, folks. I'll catch all of you on the next one. Thank you very, very much for joining. Appreciate all of you and your time. Hope you have a stunning, lovely day, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Just for now.